Hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are very happy to have you on board to discuss the pharma logistics and the role of warehouses in guaranteeing trust. Before we start, I would like to share some reminders. First, this webinar is being recorded and the replay will be made available. Cameras and microphones are closed during this meeting, but you can ask your questions at any time via the Q&A button. We'll have some time at the end of the webinar to answer to the questions. Today, we are reunited to discuss pharma logistics, where new life-saving products are freshly formulated every day. These drugs, highly sensitive, require controlled storage temperatures and timely delivery. From the moment it's produced, it embarks on a delicate global journey throughout warehouses, custom checkpoints, trucks, planes, pharmacies, all before reaching who needs it the most, the patient. But in today's world, ensuring conformity throughout this global journey is more and more complex. And why is it complex? As you know, the pharma supply chain must coordinate, among others, global sourcing of ingredients in a complex network of providers, highly specialized logistics with temperature requirements, tightly controlled distribution of highly sensitive products, all while meeting strict regulatory and quality requirements across multiple countries. From manufacturers to pre-wholesalers, excelling this complex and ensuring supply chain integrity are no longer just a technical challenge. It's an imperative. GEODIS, a global logistics company proposing warehousing, freight forwarding, road and distribution solutions for complex industries, proposes today a deep dive in contract logistics operations for the pharma supply chain that ensure compliancy and continuity in pharma cold chain logistics. To deep dive in how warehouses anchor resilient pharma logistics to deliver trust, I will invite this team of experts composed of David, our senior vice president, leading the healthcare vertical market at GEODIS. He leads the global strategy and development of supply chain solutions for the healthcare sector. He joined GEODIS in 2012 after holding several business development and key account management roles in the FMCG and healthcare industries. Franz, the Global Business Development Director for Healthcare Contract Logistics at GEODIS. He has over 30 years of experience in logistics, covering transportation, distribution, and contract logistics for companies in both FMCG and the pharma industries. Franz joined GEODIS last year, bringing to the team his expertise in driving customer-centric solutions within complex international environments. They'll be discussing with Merck experts, Cécile, who holds a doctoral degree in pharmacy from the University of Limoges, France. She has 26 years of experience in Merck Healthcare and has already held various quality roles locally in France and globally, covering GMP and GDP aspects. Cécile is in charge of the warehousing and distribution quality management for Merck Healthcare. In this role, she manages all the GDP topics, especially external supplier management and qualification validation. She is also the deputy responsible person for Merck Healthcare France. Also, we have Renaud. He's an accomplished leader with over 17 years of experience in the pharmaceutical industry, specializing in logistics, supply chain management, and manufacturing operations. He heads global logistics strategy and process optimization at Merck, and is recognized for driving operational excellence, leading cross-functional teams and implementing innovative solutions across international networks. With a proven track record in strategic development, performance management, and large-scale project delivery, Renaud is now responsible for driving the logistics strategy for Merck Healthcare and embedding resilience into its design. What a team! But before we start, now that you know us better, we would like to get to know you better. We have two questions that we are going to share on a poll here on Teams, and we'd like to ask you first, what is your role in the supply chain? Normally, you have the question that popped up for you. If you could please participate, it would be very interesting for us to know what is the role that you have. So I see that we have lots of manufacturers, some consultants, some distributors. Okay, great. Thank you very much for your participation. We have a second question. That is, what do you want to get out of this webinar? This is also very important for us to understand what is your main goal, what exactly you expect from this webinar. Let's see if you can answer complete sentences or just some specific words. Okay, GEODIS. So maybe get to know more about GEODIS. Experience sharing, market insights. Okay, great. Knowledge. Trends and upcoming. Okay, great. Latest trend. Very interesting. Strategy. Very good. I think we are going to be able to answer to your needs. That's great. Thank you very much for your participation. David, I'll let you take the lead.
Okay, thank you, Bruna, for handing over. And I noticed some comments from you. You want to know more about the trends of the pharma industry and pharma supply chain. So first of all, thank you for being part of this webinar. Very happy to welcome you. Before diving into the detail of the pharma supply chain integrity, I'd like to share some global trends from the industry. And first, I'd like to start with the sustainability and green logistics initiative, which remain a focus for the pharma company. They are adopting eco-friendly practices, such as the route optimization, obviously, the use of the electric vehicles, which all the industry try to use. But what is the main change from this industry? It's related to freight forwarding, because it's used to be using air freight mostly, and now we see in the trend a better balance between air and ocean in order to reduce the carbon emission, of course. The usage of sustainable packaging can also support this initiative to lower the green gas emission as well. So that's one of the main trends, but it's not very specific to the pharma industry. What is specific? I'd like to mention as well the increased regulatory scrutiny and compliance standards, along with the stricter guidelines from the regulatory bodies. It doesn't apply to manufacturing, but also to storage and distribution services, which means that all the 3PL have to increase their compliance measures and implement more stringent quality management system at global level. So we can move to the next. So let's dive into the rising demand for the biopharmaceuticals. The forecast numbers speaks for themselves. As you can see on this slide, we expect a growth for this specific biopharmaceutical of 100% by 2033, in Europe. This growth is mainly driven by the increased prevalence of the chronic and rare disease, as well as the demand for the advanced biologics and the targeted therapies. Of course, COVID pandemic triggered a lot of things, and it fosters a significant demand increase for the biologics, such as the vaccines, the cells and gene therapies, especially the one using the new mRNA technology. Substantial funding for companies like BioNTech enable also the development of pipeline of such products. And now we have to set up a supply chain infrastructure for frozen and deep frozen products, which were not in place before this pandemic. So it's a new challenge for the 3PL as well. We see also the development of the online pharmaceutical, which is very different from one country to another according to regulation. So I would like to spend some time to better understand the online pharmaceutical trend. First of all, some numbers. The European e-pharmacies is expected to grow by 15% year on year from 23 billion in 2025, to 70 billion by 2033. It's mainly driven by the telemedicine integration, as you maybe most of you already had some online consultation. This online platform managed to link the prescription with the virtual consultation, streamlining the diagnosis to the delivery workflows. Consumer convenience is also a major driver for this, of course, as home delivery, price comparisons, and access to hard-to-find medication, fueling this strategy to develop the e-pharmacy and the adoption by the patients. But this market expands. We have to bring it brings also increased regulatory control that differs, as I said, from one country to another, increasing in a large way the complexity of the supply chain and the control of the supply chain. So logistic companies, 3PL as GEODIS, need to adapt their compliance strategy to ensure that the regulatory compliance and the safe delivery of these very sensitive drugs. So we talk a lot about the complexity, which is getting higher, which is getting bigger, and in this market, we truly believe that the digital transformation is a key enabler to get a better control and ensure compliance in a better way throughout the whole supply chain. We got example, and we did some proof of concept in the past. Implementing blockchain technology can obviously increase the traceability and the security for the pharma product. We went through a program to ensure during the COVID that blockchain can better control the whole supply chain and the delivery of the COVID vaccines. Meanwhile, we work also on serialization, which enable compliance with global standards. But when we talk about the digital journey, I would say that the data-driven decision-making is a major goal for the industry players. That's why I'd like to focus on two numbers. I'd like to emphasize two numbers. I like two numbers. 96% of the pharma supply chain leaders consider real-time decision-making, which is essential. But you remember this number, only 7% have only even access to partial real-time decision-making capabilities, which is very poor. There is a huge gap between the will, the request, and the reality. Keep going with number, and this is the one. The next one is definitely the most impressive. We talk about all these trends. So all these trends create some specific challenge for the whole industry, obviously. Temperature control, as you know, remains a critical aspect for the whole pharma supply chain. But I want you to remind us these numbers. It is amazing. Industry reports estimate that approximately 35 billion in product value is lost every year due to lack of quality, wasted inventory, not only in transportation, but also in transportation. At the same time, visibility and transparency remain major challenge in the pharma supply chain. 70% of pharma companies identify the lack of real-time information and automatic update as one of their biggest challenge. This is coming from the disconnection between the system disconnection between manufacturer, carrier, healthcare provider, which make it difficult to achieve the seamless information flows. So bridging this gap will be crucial in the future to improve the visibility and transparency throughout the supply chain. Now I will hand it over to my dear colleague France, to talk about the strategic role of the warehouse.
Thank you, David. Good afternoon to all of you. Listening to David about the trends and the challenges, I would like to continue to say what does that mean? How do we face the temperature-controlled warehouse and the role of the temperature-controlled warehouse in the end-to-end supply chain? it is on one hand a warehouse and an important warehouse, but I like to emphasize and point out a few topics on the next slide, please, where I call two things of importance. First of all, you see, and you know, it's a combination of very important different factors which need either and or orchestrated very well, and ultimately the patient and customer is equally important here. So the orchestration, talking about the orchestration, it goes from regular, it goes from inbound transportation, it goes from reverse logistics to, again, to the patient. And if you see the right level of the slide, it is delivering the goods finally to the patient via a wholesaler, a pharmacist, a laboratory, or hospital. These are all four different ways of delivering the goods in the right order. So expertise and collaboration is key here with our customers. So that said, orchestration, I think that's the most important one, because inbound and outbound is not a classical story and you need to do it right. No, you need to do it in the utmost performance, because an inbound and outbound transportation, if that is correctly and professionally executed, the inside warehouse runs smooth. And that's our goal for our customers. And finally, again, the patients is the end customer. We need to be very, very much be aware about it. If we go continue our journey to say, okay, how do we build trust? How we build this trust in the best-in-class warehouse? We divided, you see, 4 buckets. We could have been 8, could have been 10, but let's focus on the 4 buckets of accuracy, compliance, and safety, innovation, and distribution. I would like to focus on 2, just to focus and emphasize on the compliance and safety and the staff training and safety. I mentioned that particularly because the training in the technicality and the compliance for our customers is of utmost importance. That's what we all know. On the other hand, more and more you see the trend that the staff is trained not only in the technicality, in the compliance and safety, but also in the collaboration with our customers to understand the logistics requirement, to understand the customer of our customer, to be clearly focusing on a collaboration which goes beyond the technicality and understand the market requirement and the competition field, and finally the customer of our customer. And the other one is, I already discussed that and emphasized that with you, the management of the strict distribution requirements. Like we showed in the previous slide, various end customers demands various specifications, various requirements. We need to be very much aware within the supply chain and within the temperature controlled supply chain, like David emphasized on before, that we run that operation very carefully. And again, not a standalone in a streamlined environment. That said, we go to the next slide. Oh, no, sorry to interrupt you. So go one back, dear Bruna. Introducing this slide to you, we have the pleasure of having Renaud and Cécile on board. And I would like to go only a few questions and answers with Cécile and Renaud to emphasize that a few questions just elaborated on and the importance and the view of Merck in this particular office. Renaud, if I may start with you. We have talked about the strategic role of warehouses, but we love to hear from you. What strategic role does warehouses play in operations for Merck?
Thanks, Frans, for the question, and thanks, GEODIS team, for the opportunity to speak in this webinar. So at Merck, obviously critical, so the supply chain is really critical for us, and the warehouse play a critical role in this element. What we consider, obviously, is that warehouse is really the place where we store all the value we have created for the patient, but that's not only that. This is also the place where we store years and years of science that we have developed, and also this is the place where we store, I would say, the outcome of the hard work of our manufacturing operations. Because we use warehouse everywhere in our supply chain, really end to end, this is really critical for us. So the warehouse, they play an important role into the integrity and the compliance of the goods, as you mentioned it, in the temperature control supply chain. they are really critical on the way we deliver, so timely delivery and I would say cost-efficiently delivery to patients worldwide. And last but not least, the warehouse, they play a key role in the resilience to geopolitical challenges, for example, but they also play a key role in our ability to respond to the market's change.
Thank you, Renaud. And if I may continue with you, from a strategic perspective, when evaluating the warehouses around the globe, what are your defining elements of those you consider best in class?
So I guess the four elements you have put on this slide are the main one. I would say the one we would add, obviously, is the shared value and the ability of the, I would say, the partner we select to act as a partner to provide us with innovation, with real-time visibility, as David was mentioning. This is really what would move the selection from a technical partner to a strategic partner on the way we will decide and consider best-in-class provider.
Merci. And Cécile, from your perspective, how do you define best in class, and then which key elements or characteristics do you consider essential?
Thank you, Fan. The slide presented by you define well a best-in-class warehouse. The element to be considered indeed are people, by fostering the quality mindset and behavior, by making them responsible, technology, by integrated advanced technology, by promoting the digitalization to reduce human error, customer-oriented by building up a relationship of trust and having a win-win approach with our partner. Finally, compliance with regulation.
Merci. And Cécile, how do you track and measure your key performance indicators associated with these elements?
We have a continuous improvement approach. This includes monitoring, analysis, reporting, communication, and action, and of course, audit. What is important to succeed is to have a common KPI between business and quality.
See, Renaud, if I may switch to you, thank you, Cécile. What complexities within the end-to-end supply chain should be taken into account when assessing and analyzing the warehouse performance?
The first one is, as we all know, we are operating into a very volatile environment and a world which is very diverse, depending on the region. So the first part is really the complexity of the regulatory requirement, depending on the region, where the partners need to operate, where it's located, but also where it needs to go. As you mentioned, the temperature control for us is critical. There is more and more challenges, but this very long distance transportation make it very complex overall. I would say recently created with the digitalization is also the synchronization of the data between partners, which is one of the challenge we are having. And then this is also the way we all react during crisis. So how does the partners and the manufacturer, I would say, operate during crisis management? This is really the way we evaluate our partners.
Got you. Thank you. And how do you ensure best practices and innovations are consistently shared and implemented across the different regions and sites?
So the benefit we have at Merck is that we are having more than almost 100 warehouse operated, I would say external warehouse operated worldwide. So we can really benefit from our experience, the local experience that we scale. And the second element will be the, I would say, external innovation that we would like to benefit from the partners we are using. So as example, with GEODIS, we expect also the partners we select to provide us with the best innovation for our requirement.
Okay. Thank you again, Renaud. And Cécile, some final ones before we go to the next slide. The recent innovations we heard from Renaud, we heard Renaud mentioning it. Despite significant progress, we are still in a challenging integrity area across the global supply chain. So my three smaller questions, Cécile, are from Merck's perspective, what are the most significant challenges currently faced in preserving cold chain integrity?
So the significant challenge to be faced are people when they handle a product during loading and unloading. This can land temperature fluctuation. When they manage the temperature monitoring, so continuous training and awareness can be a challenge, as well the poor temperature monitoring control. Also equipment facility. If we have a non-effective cold chain unit or temperature monitoring system, absence of qualification of this equipment, a warehouse not well designed to ensure proper storage. At the end, cost. Maintenance of the cold chain unit can be expensive. Also, in terms of cost of energy today, to maintain the right temperature, especially if the warehouse is not so very well insulated.
Clear picture. And Cécile, to continue, what key measures or strategies have you implemented to effectively mitigate these challenges?
For people to explain why it's so important to preserve the product, even if we have a stability study for this product. To have a procedure to monitor temperature and to manage the excursion of temperature. For equipment, we should not neglect the infrastructure. We should have a maintenance program, a generator for cold units in case of failure. For the warehouse, have, if possible, integrated platform. Or if not, to have a cold room close to the outbound and inbound area to avoid any fluctuation during the pick and pack process and loading and unloading. For cost, integrated this aspect in the warehouse costs. Awareness to the top management about the impacts.
Okay, very clear. And thanks for your valuable insights, Cécile. And last but not least, how do you ensure the global consistency in quality standards across the different geographies?
Merck quality have compulsory global standard and guideline about warehousing management associated to working instruction to be implemented in all Merck sites involved in warehousing management. These standards are also implemented with our partner through the quality agreement. And during the audits, the adherence to this standard and guideline are checked.
Okay. Thank you both, Renaud and Cécile, very much for this part of the session. Bruna, let's go to the next slide. And
sorry, just before we start to talk about how to prepare for the future of the pharma industry, quick reminder, you can send your questions at any time via the Q&A button, and we'll have some time at the end of this session to answer to those questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruna. And to continue, how to prepare for the future of the pharma industry. We discussed and shared the challenges today, and now we need to understand how we do prepare ourselves for the future and regarding to innovations and innovative solutions. So I would like to refer to the next slide. Just about this slide, two focus areas, one related to questions and answers in a few minutes with Cécile Renaud, and the second one the same. So I would like to share strengthen the cold chain visibility to protect our product integrity. And I would like to mention here as a focus one, and not at random, but just chosen for this particular conversation we have with you, move beyond passive tracking to real-time end-to-end temperature monitoring. Very important. We hear that, we discussed that, and what I like to emphasize here is the technicalities are in place. And I think David already mentioned it in the past. It's going on for a number of years, and we have the technicalities. We believe also to service our customer the best is to also increase our collaboration and really increase our commitment to make that extremely important piece of technology and collaboration working. So the commitment is one driver here we need to introduce as well. So if we go to the chapter, Renaud, if I may ask you, how do you incorporate innovations to optimize the cold chain?
So I would say we have two dimensions mainly at Merck. So the first one is related to what is on your, I would say, first bullet point. It's how do we improve the real-time visibility and the real-time monitoring of our temperature controlled products. We mainly use sensors. We are exploring a lot of technology. I have to say that there is a lot of innovation currently, and we are still making our choice for the best and for the future. And the second element is really how do we select the new packaging solution of the future. So the packaging solution, they need somehow to be cheaper, more efficient, and improve the sustainability and reduce the CO2 footprint overall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Renaud, related to that, and thank you for your feedback. For you at Merck, how do sustainability goals intersect with cold chain integrity requirements?
I would say they come together. We want obviously to protect our product, but we also want to improve the future of the planet. They are not competing; they are really getting along. What we also know is that the sustainability requirements in the future, they will become more and more important and part of the compliance requirement. So we are just, I would say, anticipating a bit the requirement of the future because as most of the time, the pharma industry is a front runner on some elements, and we don't want to be reactive.
Super, thank you. And Cécile, the final one on this focused area. Do you have any reverse logistics measures in place that help you to achieve your sustainability goals?
For Merck Healthcare, we do not have reverse logistic for our medicinal product, mainly due to the regulation constraint and typology of our product, but some of our suppliers have reverse logistic, example for data loggers, thermal box, or cardboard pallets. In fact, for me, a reverse logistic means multi-use. So the return are not reverse logistic for me because it's compulsory to have a return in case of quality issue or recall. Often the return, the product are destroyed on site to avoid transporting the product back to the origin unit.
Okay, thank you very much, appreciate it. And if I focus on the contract logistics as a strategic lever to streamline operations, I focus on one is the third bullet, streamline full supply chain with serialization, order management, order consolidation, expiry date coding, labeling, and trigger, and so on. What I would like to emphasize here that we believe that it is of utmost importance to service our customers in a strategy, simply having a full-blown offer, enabling these kind of services as a standard and in one package. Many years ago, we called that one-stop shopping. I call it differently in this particular area, but we need commitment in order to service your whole portfolio based on the discussions and the conversations we had before and today. Renaud and Cécile, to strengthen this second focus area. Renaud, what lessons have you learned from past disruptions and how have they shaped your strategy?
I would say we have learned from the past and we are still learning from the new event, which have happened even last week and this week. I would say resilience is not a given. Okay, it's not because things have been working for years that it will continue to work tomorrow. That's one of the learnings we had. The second one is that this is really a challenge to drive resilience when we have a lot of different partners, because there is different culture, different behaviors, a lot of contacts, and it's really a challenge for us. And the last learning is really need to design resilience in the network from the beginning, and we need to build it with our key partners.
Thank you. Spot on. Thank you. And Cécile, we discussed regularity compliance. two smaller questions. How do you balance regularity compliance with operational efficiency?
Of course, balancing between regulatory and operational is possible with a joint effort with quality and business to deliver the right product to the right patient. To have a risk-based approach is possible with an end-to-end view of the processes, and at the end to have an optimized quality management system.
Thank you. And then Renaud, Cécile just told us about the importance of performance and balancing the regularity landscape and quality. How do logistics strategies translate into trust for healthcare providers and patients?
I'd say as for resilience, the trust is not a given, and usually you can lose it faster than you can gain it. So what is important for us is obviously the on-time delivery of high-quality medicine. That would say this is the base minimum requirement for healthcare provider to give the trust. But what is also very important is the consistency. So consistency months and year over year about this on-time delivery to gain and maintain the trust.
Thank you, Renaud. Thank you, Renaud and Cécile, for this energetic and a very, very constructive conversation. I would like to hand over to David for the last part of our session.
So if you can move to the next, thank you. Thank you, Frans. So let's keep going with how to prepare the future of supply chain in pharma. So we talked a lot about before about the lack of visibility, lack of responsiveness, which impact the whole pharma supply chain. So definitely one of the key takeaways is, and what we need to achieve in the future is to ensure collaborative partnership in order to make it happen. So it means breaking silos within the supply chain and guarantee better communication, transparency between all the stakeholders. I mean, 3PLs, forwarders, handlers, and also pharmaceutical company in order to optimize their supply chain as a whole. Co-designing the solution for the future with logistic partner is a key. Is really key in order to have a solution fitting for the future and on the long-term basis. We see that the pipeline of the pharma companies is switching mostly from product temperature control 1525 to more 2 to 8 on even frozen and deep frozen. In order also to secure the supply chain, need to expand on a regional basis instead of the local one, and ensure that the pharma got a dual sourcing in order to reduce dependency on one single provider. So one said that, and I think it's a good example of partnership between our two companies. I would like to ask some question to Cécile first. We talk about collaborative partnership. How do you evaluate, how do you assess the different logistic partner in this very demanding landscape?
When we assess a logistic partner, we check if their capability, their performance, compliance, innovation, and of course resilience and agility due to the geopolitical context of today. Renaud, you can complete.
Yeah. So I would say on top of what you said, Cécile, which is very true, and to refer a bit more to the digital part, what we do more and more is also to assess the digital maturity of the partners, and also the ambition they are having in terms of providing, as you mentioned, David, earlier, real-time visibility to enable us to have this real-time monitoring and gain trust. So as I was mentioning at the beginning, this assessment about the ambition on long-term collaboration and shared value is really critical for us.
Okay, clear. Thank you. Earlier during the webinar, we talk a lot about, and especially with France, we focused on the best-in-class warehouses. In your experience, what drives the preference from global versus local supply chain partners?
So as I was mentioning earlier, at Merck, what is great for at least the healthcare, and we can also benefit from the other division expertise. We are everywhere in the world, and we can benefit from this local and global expertise. So usually what we consider is that global players, they offer scales and consistency in operations. However, the local partners, usually they provide a different type of agility and from time to time market-specific expertise that cannot be achieved by this global partner. So we use a hybrid model, depending on the region, depending on the maturity of the region, depending on the maturity of the partners, and we try to leverage the best of both.
Thank you. I'd like now to focus on the digital transformation for the pharma supply chain. As you know, the manufacturing part and even the delivery is the whole process is very fragmented. And as the product are very sensitive as well, we need to optimize the visibility and the traceability all along the supply chain in order to ensure the product integrity and the good use for the patient at the end. So we need to implement the digital solution that we have on hand that are available on the market. So the obvious one, of course, are the warehousing management system, WMS, with the key requirement for dedicated and specific to pharma. Automated solution, IoT-enabled sensor, GPS tracking are all the tools that we have on hand in the toolbox to deliver this and to optimize this visibility. And then we talked earlier about blockchain, but this could be a key enabler in order to reinforce the traceability for the product in the whole chain. So to raise some question again to you, we talk about the digital part now. It's important to step a little back and to share your experience at Merck. What role does data visibility play in reinforcing the network, the trust that you have in your network?
So the data visibility is really one of the foundation for trust. So it's a trust for the way we operate with our partners, but also this is the visibility we need to give to our, I would say, patients, so that they can trust on our network. But this is also the visibility we want to give internally to our management to, I would say, reassure them that everything is under control. The good things for the partners using data and the visibility is that we use the same numbers. So using the same numbers, we have the same fact on which we can discuss. We are not talking about guess or feeling, we are talking about fact. Building on fact, we can improve the performance. Together, we can proactively manage risk and we take decision real time. And this is really the foundation to improve the collaboration and to really act as partners with external players.
Yeah. We know this importance of speeding up, I mean, all this digital transportation, not only in the pharma, but especially in the pharma. For you, because you are a global company, do you face any cultural or organization barriers within or even outside that make it difficult to embed it at global scale, I would say?
I would say yes. I would say obviously there is many challenges, which include obviously the digital maturity of the region, even of our sites. One of the funny things I like to say is that Merck is a very robust company. We are there for 350 years. We started way before digitalization started to exist. And when we need to think about our process, it's not only about improving our process with data, it's from time to time also to make breakthrough innovation about how to completely rethink the process to make use of this data available. And this is a challenge because we have to rethink completely the process and it's even harder to make it accept. However, the benefits at the end are greater.
Thank you, Renaud, for this valuable insights.
What I can add, we can have as a barrier regulation of some country like in China or in Russia. We cannot deploy the digital tools everywhere in the same way. due to the regulation and geopolitical context.
And besides geopolitical context, in for instance, in Europe,
because there is some time for some digital tools, there are US interests. So
Okay.
due to this, we cannot deploy some tools like everywhere.
Thank you. So it's remained a challenge.
Yeah.
So Bruna, you can move to the next. We try to define on a very humble manner a formula for success, and to give you some takeaways from this session. So I think we all agree that relying on a global and integrated network infrastructure is really key. To enhance the cold chain logistics solution is the path for the future, which needs to be, this is mandatory to be compliant, obviously, with the local regulation, regional and global regulations, needs to be reliable, scalable, and at the end, transparent. And if you are able to do this, you will have to rely on trustful and qualified partners. And we know that the landscape is still very fragmented from a supplier perspective. And I think now we are ready for
yes, and then
your
we will
question.
have a question for Renaud, if he would like to add anything to this discussion.
But yeah, as a conclusion, I would say warehouse, or the complexity which we have to manage in warehousing, but also the critical role of warehousing in the supply chain is from time to time underestimated, I would say. So I'm also very happy that during this webinar we were able to expose a bit and to explain the criticality of a warehouse and the complexity to manage it. And as David was mentioning, that's why it's important for a pharma company to work only with I would say partner that we trust and for which we can build long-term collaboration, which will also help us on the innovation in digitalization, sustainability, keeping in mind that compliance and on-time delivery remain the key focus for pharma industry.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. That was very insightful. But now it's your turn. If you have any questions, we would love to hear them. If you have challenges to ask or insights that you got from this conversation, you can send them via the Q&A button. I think we already have some questions that were received. So let me take a look. The first question was, well, it's interesting. We were just talking about the role of warehouse and the complexity of it, of managing it. And the first question that we got is, what role do warehouses play in enabling serialization and export readiness in pharma logistics? Renaud, I don't know if you would be comfortable in talking about it.
I might ask Cécile whether she feels equipped to answer to this one. Otherwise, I can try to answer.
Yes, we use some warehouse to do serialization when our manufacturing site are not equipped to do this operation. So it can be an help for us for this for aggregation and serialization.
Thank you. Perfect. David, would you like to add anything?
No, I think it's clear. And then serialization is very specific to pharma, and we see a lot of improvement, but we need to have some adjustment for all the country and maturity level to deploy. Serialization is a key enabler to secure the whole supply chain, definitely. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. The next question that we have is about consistency. We also talked a lot about consistency today. So the question is, did you put in place any innovations or partnerships that made the biggest difference for you?
So I would say that the first thing we have done is unfortunately not building real-time visibility of the performance of our partners, but really building on creating a common set of data on which we can drive performance. We have done this with our key partners, so collecting the data. Sometimes one of the change we have implemented is also that we have built on our own the KPI to assess the performance of our partners, to improve the dialogue and avoid, I would say, bias that we might have in the measurement. And really, it makes a big change now. We are able to have a very well established, I would say, third-party logistic performance governance in place, and this is really driving a fantastic result.
Perfect. Thank you. We don't have any other questions, so thank you very much for the insights. Sorry. So as we've seen throughout this presentation, handling life-saving drugs like the one in our story in the beginning requires absolute precision. It's not just about moving boxes from one point to another, it's about saving lives. So from technology and innovation to stronger collaboration, optimizing how we handle sensitive pharma products is key to ensuring that every patient receives the right treatment at the right time in the right condition. The next time you hear about a breakthrough in medical treatment, remember that a logistics team was responsible for safely getting it where it's needed. Thank you very much for joining us today. We hope this session gave you a valuable insight and practical strategies to strengthen your cold chain operations. If you'd like to continue the conversation or create solutions dedicated to your operations, you can reach out to our speakers via LinkedIn. They will be very happy to connect you via the platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.